gymnasts in the world today. He led his teammates to the team championship in Budapest last fall over the Soviet Union, and he is co-world champion on the pommel horse, having scored a perfect 10 in that competition. Today, he comes to the United States to compete in the men's championship of the American Cup against the likes of Peter Vidmar, the defending champion from the United States, and James Hartung, two-time collegiate all-around champion. It is the American Cup Gymnastic Championship for Men, today on ABC's Wide World of Sports. This is Madison Square Garden in New York City, where we're about to see the men's competition in the American Cup. A group of the world's best gymnasts gathering here in New York City for one of the last international meets before they'll all get together in Los Angeles this summer at the Olympic Games. This is an all-around competition, which means that the winner will be determined by taking the scores of each apparatus and adding them together. Our expert commentator, three-time world champion, Kurt Thomas. How do you assess this field?
Jack, the People's Republic of China sent their very best. They sent Li Ning, and in my opinion, the best gymnast in the world today. He led their team to the World Championship title last year in 1983. There's also Peter Vidmar, the American Cup defending champion, and another American, Jim Hartung. So it should prove to be an exciting competition.
We're sorry to have to announce a last-minute defection by the Soviet Union and the East Germans. The East Germans sent a telegram begging off because of illness, and the Soviet Union sent a telegram saying they wouldn't come because of security reasons. But Li Ning came, and he got off to an auspicious start in the floor exercise.
Tremendous performer. Here he moved right into his scale, showing balance, and then moved out to his dismount, which was a double back. He took it up nice and high, pulled it around, and really fought for that landing. Tremendous performer.
Score 9.9.
Well, here's another look at that dismount, and I'll tell you, this is the most explosive performer on the floor today. He'll have a real battle, though, with Bilo Zerchev from the Soviet Union in the 1984 Olympics. Pulled that double around nice and high.
And after the floor exercise, these were the standings. Li Ning was in first place. There was a three-way tie for second. Peter Vidmar and Jim Hartung of the United States, and Yang Yu Shan of the People's Republic of China. Li Ning now moves to the pommel horse.
Now he'll show you how to swing pommel horse. There's the Magyar spindle on the end in a straight body position. Look how high he is above the pommels. A lot of distance between his hands and his body. Beautiful scissor with a half turn. Drops right down, do another reverse scissor. Picks up into the flare. Now watch this combination. Works down on the horse, back up to the pommels, hops down to the end, continues the flare, pushes through a handstand. Beautiful routine. Li Ning. That's the way to swing pommel horse.
I think we just saw a lesson, didn't we? Textbook. Li Ning.
Here's another look at that fantastic performance on the pommel horse. Watch this flare. He keeps his hips up nice and high, really straddles his legs. The crowd's getting into it. Presses down, his shoulders are pushing through right here and up to a handstand. Beautiful routine.
And the mark, 9.95 for Li Ning. A powerful performance. At the pommel horse from the United States, Jim Hartung.
This is Jim's best event. He swings very slow, but very controlled, and he's got an extremely difficult routine. Mounts with a pommel, two pommel loops on the pommel. There's a back more, another pommel loop. Back more downhill, front end, three-quarter. Little extra circle there. No deduction so far. Nice stretch. Just flare work. Fulfilling the scissor requirement here. Not quite as explosive as Li Ning. Doesn't have the amplitude. There's a more. Changing direction. Three-quarter Bailey up to a handstand. Good routine for Jim.
Jim Hartung of the United States.
Well, here's a slow motion look at some of Jim's routine. Now, I said he didn't have the amplitude of Li Ning. He doesn't have the extension that he needs. He doesn't have the power that he needs on this event to look spectacular. He has the difficulty and everything else is there, but he doesn't have the flexibility or the power that he needs.
And his mark, 9.85 for Jim Hartung. That's Peter Vidmar, the defending champion, who's next up. Earlier, Kurt Thomas had a chance to talk with our defending champion.
I'm 28 years old now. I'm still performing, not competing, but I really feel stronger than I've ever felt. You seem to be getting better. What happens after 1984?
Well, for me, now that I'm married, I realize that I have other priorities in my life. And I realize that I'm going to have responsibilities to fulfill, not only as a husband, but hopefully as a father. And unless I can fulfill those responsibilities after the Olympics, I won't continue gymnastics. But I'm hoping to continue with gymnastics maybe through to '88. But that's only if I can fulfill those responsibilities, and that means if I can support myself and my family. So it's basically a financial burden, and I think that times are changing now where athletes have a better chance to make some money off of their sport, not because they're greedy, but because it's something that needs to be done.
It's a necessity.
If we're going to be able to be competitive with the rest of the world, the sports where we are consistently staying up there with the rest of the world are the sports that still allow the athletes to make money: track and field, alpine skiing. And we need to be able to have those advantages. And I think they're coming. I think there's some good people behind it that are going to help us, and I hope that that comes about. And because I love gymnastics. I do gymnastics because I love it, and so I'd love to keep on doing it. But the only way I can do that is if I can support my family.
And now, here he is.
Now, this is an event that could make or break Peter. He's got a strong routine, but he's got to get through it. There's some Magyar spindle Durhams on the end. Nice stretched body. Doing some immediate work on the pommels. Push right to a handstand. Scissors requirement here. Front scissors. Needs to get through, just get off the thing. There you go. Reverse travel on the pommels. And up through a handstand.
Peter Vidmar, and a fine performance on the pommel horse, being congratulated by Jim Hartung.
Well, he's really got the difficulty here. Look, he does immediate work on the pommel, travels behind his back, up to the pommel again. Now he'll break into his flare and work through that handstand position and come off with really no deduction in this routine.
No deduction is absolutely right. A perfect 10 for Peter Vidmar. And the standings now. Number 1, Li Ning in first place. But Peter Vidmar has moved into second place alone. Jim Hartung is in third place. We'll be back for more men's gymnastics at the American Cup on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Back at the men's championship of the American Cup Gymnastics. The rings and ball competition are over, and the standings remain the same. Li Ning of China first, and the Americans second and third. This is Li Ning at the parallel bars, having a fine competition here.
It's a strong event for Li Ning, too. He's got some original moves that come right in the middle of his routine. There's a swing. Here comes a flare on the end. Very nicely done. Right into a handstand. Here comes some giant work. Reverse stutz. Swing handstand. Healy twirl. Cut catch. Very nice.
So clean, isn't it?
He
Just
really
so
is.
neat.
And now look how straight he is in the handstand, too. Keeps that angle out of his shoulders. There's a stutz or a half turn to a handstand. And another diameter. Oh, major break. 0.3 of a point minimum. Stutz to a half turn. And a dismount. Double backs. Major break for Li Ning.
But you wouldn't know it. He's as inscrutable as ever.
Well, it just goes to show you have to keep concentrating. I think he lost concentration here. He got forward, and then there his legs came over his head, caused him to step twice, and that's major break there. It could make or break this competition.
And it might. A 9.5 for Li Ning, and that could open the door for the two Americans who are running second and third. Here is Jim Hartung, who's next up. And earlier, Kurt Thomas had a chance to talk with this veteran.
How many years have you been competing internationally now?
About 7.
What keeps you going? That one meet?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know. I just like it. It's, you know, my whole life, and have such a great time doing it. All my friends are there and everything, so I just like gymnastics. I like to compete. I like to represent the United States.
And he is representing the United States wonderfully well here.
Strong event for Jim. NCAA champion on this event. He's really worked it a lot to get a little more difficulty and a little more originality. So free hip to a handstand mount. Stutz handstand. Diamond very nice. Run up rise. There's a heely twirl right to a swing pirouette. Good combination there. Run up rise, front toss, cut catch. Ooh, nice to a plan, strength move, and he pressed out.
Chance to close.
Dismount, double tuck. All right, nice routine.
Strong performance by Jim Hartung. Being congratulated by Coach Baby Grossfeld.
Strong it was. Here's a look at that strength move. Does a front uprise, front toss. Now he swings right to a plunge, strength move on the parallel bars, and presses out to a handstand. It's nice to see Jimmy working on his weaknesses.
And a marvelous mark for Jim Hartung, which could change the standings here. 9.9. And his teammate, Peter Vidmar, coming up next.
Next up for the United States of America, Peter Vidmar.
Peter Vidmar of the United States at the parallel bars, 9.75, gives him the lead.
And he's easily capable of that. Peach to a handstand. No mistakes so far. Half turn to a handstand. Now he's got a Diamond to 1 bar. 1 1/4 all the way around. Very nicely done. You got to be careful on this event. It's a V press. Oh, there's another 10th. And his double pike. 1 little step, say 2/10 off the whole routine.
Peter Vidmar, a very nice performance in the parallel bar.
Here's a close-up of his hands, pulling his feet through his hands. Got to be very careful here. Takes a little 10th there where he drops his legs, but kept his composure and moved out through to his dismount. Now he changed his dismount from a double tuck to a double pike. Increased the difficulty, but it's harder to land. He takes a step forward here, but a fine performance for Peter Vidmar.
Fine indeed, a 9.8 for Peter Vidmar, and that puts him in first place as the standings have changed. Vidmar in first place, Jim Hartung second, and Li Ning third. We'll be back for the final apparatus, the high bar. Now Li Ning, a critical point in this competition. He is in third place now as he approaches the high bar.
He had a little bit of a problem on the parallel bars, but this is an event where he can really score. Got a triple back dismount. There's a stem to a handstand, immediate stalder. Comes some 1-arm work. 1-arm giant. Here's his release move, reverse hecht. No problem. Cow hop stalder. And another release move.
Oh.
And there he goes. He's done that before, Jack. He fell in the World Championships on this event.
Let's take another look.
Well, he's looking at his grips. I wonder if that was the problem. Now let's have a slow motion look. Here's the stalder preparing for that hecht vault. It's a good arch here. No problem over the bar, but when he grabs, he gets on top of his dowel in his grip, and I think that's the problem.
The battle for first place now will be between Vidmar and Hartung, the two Americans.
Well, they've got a hit too. This is an event that can throw you off. He was shaking his head earlier, and I don't know if he's a little mixed up or what the problem is. Maybe he's just frustrated with himself. Comes his dismount. Probably play it safe. Well, triple back. No save. Nice landing. That's tough break for Li Ning. At least he's still got a smile.
And a great hand from the crowd at Madison Square Garden for Li Ning.
Well, here's another look at that dismount from Li Ning. Made simple. He does a triple back with ease. And I tell you, you'll see this guy, despite the problems he had here, you will see him in shape in LA, and he's going to be tough to beat. Pulls it up nice and high, knows right where he's at, opens up, and just nails the landing. What a performer.
And the mark, 9.40 for Li Ning, and that could jeopardize his chances of finishing third.
James Hartung.
Now James Hartung of the United States at the high bar. He's 1/10 of a point behind the leader, Peter Vidmar.
Well, he's sitting in a very good position right now. This is a good event for Jimmy, and all he's got to do is get through his routine. He knows he's in top 2. Stem to an immediate stalder. His release move, reverse hecht.
9-4-0 will put him in front of Ning.
He's got the requirement of inverts now. In his dismount, he should easily get a 9-4. Double back with a full twist, half in, half out for a dismount. Half in, half out.
Oh.
Consistent day for Jim Hartung.
All right, Jim Hartung of the United States.
It's really nice to see Jimmy do so well in a competition. Here's another look at his dismount. He's had some problems with dismounting from the high bar. Here's a giant. He's working on a double twisting double, but here's his half in, half out. Takes it up nice and high. Beautiful form in the air, and he looks for that landing. Great day for Jimmy.
Great day indeed, a 9.85 for him, and that puts the pressure squarely on his teammate, Peter Vidmar, who'll be up next. Now the leader coming into the final event from the United States, Peter Vidmar, who needs a 9.8.
Jack, the pressure's really on at this point. He's got 2 release moves at the beginning of his routine that he has to hit in order to stay on this event. There's one of them. Here comes the second one. World Championship, he had a problem. He missed that second release. That cost him a medal.
Well,
Inverted giants. He's over the tough part. One more release, and he caught it. He's on his way. He needs a 9-8 here to win this event. There's your new American Cup champion.
Peter Vidmar of the United States.
Well, I tell you, I wonder if Peter was still thinking about that problem he had in the World Championships. He fell off the high bar. He was shaking his head in the beginning, took a deep breath. Here's his dismount again. It's nice to see him get through that. It's got to be a confidence builder. Watch his face here.
Score on horizontal bar.
And the mark of 9.95 assures Peter Vidmar of the championship of the American Cup. The second consecutive year. But the competition is not completely over. This is Yang Yushan of the People's Republic of China, and all of a sudden he has a chance to pass his more heralded teammate Li Ning for third place. 9.70 will tie him.
Well, he's definitely capable of that. He's got a beautiful one-arm combination in the beginning of his routine. Here comes one arm. Now he'll do his release move, flyaway half. Little form break there for about a 10th, but that's not the exciting one-arm work. It's coming up now. Reverse one arm, pirouettes over the top, full turn over the top, reverse turn the other way, and the crowd loves it. He's got a half in, half out left, and that's it. Half in, half out, stuck to landing. It's nice to see these young Chinese working.
Yang Yushan, and he is happy. He knows he's done a good one. There's his mark, 9.90, and that moves him ahead of Li Ning into third place. The final results, Peter Vidmar, Jim Hartung, Yang Yushan, and Li Ning. With me here, Peter Vidmar and Jim Hartung, 1 and 2 in the American Cup. A great day for the American team. Peter, congratulations on your repeat victory.
Thank you very much. It was a great thrill. I felt a lot of pressure at the end. I hadn't felt that for the last 2 days because I didn't even know if I was going to be in the meet for the first day of competition. But I was really happy with it.
Obviously you're happy. It's written all over your face. But what does this do to you now in this Olympic year? It must bolster your confidence a good deal.
It sure does. It's important to do well under pressure, especially as we build towards the Olympics. And I was really happy that I could overcome it as I get ready for the Olympics. You know, I had some mistakes in the World Championships on high bar, and when I got to high bar this time, I said, no, it's not going to happen again, and fortunately I did it. Thank you.
All right, how about you, Jim? What's this do for your confidence?
Well, I'm really psyched. It's more than just a booster. It gets me psyched to go home and start training and really get back into it and get ready for the '84 Olympic Games.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to both of you in a tremendous performance.
Thank you.
Okay. Kurt, how about a last word for you about this competition?
Well, I think basically this is a very prestigious competition, and both of our guys really came through in the end. They were both consistent, and that's the name of the game for this competition. And going into the Olympics, I think we're real strong. We've got a lot more depth now, and I think these guys are inspired by this. They're going to go back and do their homework.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. For Kurt Thomas, this is Jack Whitaker saying so long from Madison Square Garden.